Well, I guess today is as good a day as any for a double recap. Here we are with SBET up over 200% on the day. This is unbelievable. I traded it a little bit this afternoon, added some profit to the morning, and well, we'll break it all down here in this second recap. So let's look at SBET. Now, this was a first daily candle to make a new high setup. We had the big pop on Tuesday, pull back on Wednesday, and then today, Thursday, first daily candle to make a new high. Now, early in the morning when this broke out initially, what I said was that, man, it looks good. I like it. There's no question it's holding up here over $27.50, and it looks good for the first daily candle to make a new high. But there's a problem. The problem was that at this time right here, there wasn't enough volume. And so this made it hard no matter what kind of trader you are. If you're a small account trader, well, you probably couldn't buy enough shares to even make it worthwhile. Even 100 shares of this is $3,000, right? You'd be better off buying 1,000 shares of a $3 stock and selling for 10 cents profit and being up $100 than trying to do 100 shares of this and, hoping to get $1 a share, but knowing you are getting in with a 1-point spread and could easily lose $1 a share or more. So for small account traders, this didn't make sense. For big money traders with large accounts, it also didn't make sense because there wasn't enough volume to take a big position. Now, I'm sure there are some people out there that did take big positions on it as the day went on, but to me, it represented way too much risk. There wasn't a fresh catalyst today. Look, first daily candle to make a new high, love that setup. Look at UPXI from a couple weeks ago. We traded first daily candle to make a new high on this one, and it started pre-market. So first day, pulls back, and then first daily candle to make a new high was right there, and ends up squeezing all the way back up. It pulls back, and then you got another first daily candle to kind of make a new high right in that area. So I'm happy to trade that setup, but I usually have lower expectations of it versus, day one of momentum. And here's what's pretty amazing. This was actually a far bigger day in terms of dollars per share. It did it on lighter volume, and it's on no fresh news. All right, so we've got this stock, SBET, and to go back to Monday and to look at the catalyst. So let's pull up the news. Now, SBET came out with this news on Tuesday, and it was, by the way, just really great timing. It was on my watch list on Friday. So when I uploaded my watch list over the weekend, SBET was on watch for a trade on Tuesday morning, just simply for continuation, because it was strong. And then pre-market Tuesday, it was continuing higher. And then the news came out. What was the news? A $425 million private placement from Joseph Lubin, who's the founder and CEO of this company and also the co-founder of a little coin called Ethereum. They should have led with that. Maybe they should just lead with co-founder of Ethereum. So essentially, he's invested $425 million into this company, and in exchange, he's received 69 million shares. He also is going to become the chairman of the board of directors upon the closing of this private placement. So it's almost like whatever this company was doing before he came along doesn't even matter, because now this is the story. So this whole company has changed. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you have a really, look, I mean, honestly, if you think about Tesla, Elon Musk bought the name Tesla, right? He just bought the company and then he turned it into Tesla. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett bought Berkshire Hathaway, whatever it was before, and then he turned it into what it was. So essentially, this is such a large position that this new company, it's like a new company, and maybe they'll even change the name. So in any case, that was the catalyst. And so that generated that initial burst of momentum, which was really impressive on Tuesday. And then naturally we pulled back a little bit. Now, the thing that I thought was amazing was the fact that this fellow who took that stake owned 69 million shares of this company at $6 a share. Guys, this is incredible. This is frightening, the amount of money that's just been made, because 69 million shares times $10 a share is 690 million. So times $100 a share is nearly $7 billion. $7 billion. Holy smokes. It sure makes my profit feel quite meaningless, which is why you have to be careful about comparing yourself to others. So while he's up today, billions of dollars, I'm up 84,000. $84,117.75 is a pretty good day. And you can see I got my trade on SBET here for 6,500. I peaked at about 10,000 and then gave back about $4,000 off the top. So, all right, gave back a little off the top. And the reality is, this fellow who now has a paper, mark to market net worth that just went up by 7 billion. You have to remember that in order to actually sell, there would need to be the volume on the market. He owns 69 million shares. So if he wanted to sell every single one of those shares, let's see, just over the last 2 days or 3 days, how much volume has there been? Well, I'll just have to add it up. So 54 plus, was it today? 20, so 70. So 74 plus a little bit there, so 76, basically 76 million shares. And of course, there wouldn't have been 76 million shares if this wasn't going up, right? It's got 76 million shares because it's been going up. If he was selling, he'd be suppressing the price. So even if he was half of the volume and the whole time he was selling, this would not look anything like this. So there's no question that he has a huge stake in the company, a huge unrealized gain, but how do you turn it into real money? Well, the reality is, in this type of situation, there's not a lot of ways to do it. Yes, he could, and it depends on what his goal is. Of course, he may not have expected it to be a $7 billion unrealized profit in 3 days. Probably no one expects that, but in any case, he could, depending on the terms of the private placement, he may be able to sell some shares on the open market. He may not, because I haven't seen the terms of the private placement. Sometimes there's specific terms that restrict selling. So he may not be able to do anything except just hold. And essentially what that means is that the stock is going to continue to trade as if it's a, 600,000 share float. Even though the float now is more like, it's going to be more like 70 million shares, it's not going to trade that way if those shares are locked up. So there's definitely some unknowns here, but if he just dumped it all on the market, this would go all the way back down. And it would even go lower than where it was before, most likely, because that would be so much selling. And I don't expect that to happen. So this is something that, perhaps like the stock drug from last year, if it continues to stay, priced at, $30, $40 a share, $50 a share, I mean, this thing went up to almost 100 and then it's come back down, but it's held up relatively well. And over this time, it would give opportunity, to slowly, get out and sell a little bit here and a little bit there. So I'm not sure what will happen ultimately. But I can tell you that this is challenging at this point to trade because the price is higher. And higher price means what? Bigger spreads. And so this morning as it's rallying up, I was like, nah, I don't know about this. And then I had some things I was working on and I came back right around here. And I broke the ice with my first trade at, let's see, where was it? So my first trade on this was right in this area here for the break of $55 a share. It was a flat top breakout. So took the little breakout, it pops, it goes up a little bit, made $4,000, dips down, goes up, lost a little bit on that rejection, sells off, comes back up again, wasn't really sure I could trust it here. It ends up going anyways, pulls back, pops a little higher, try to get back in, stalls out, drop down. Try to get back in, stalls out, drops down. And then it rips here up to 68, pulls back, pops up, pulls back, jumps up here, then rejects, squeezes up into a halt right here. No, sorry, was that the halt? The halt was actually right here. And then resumed, dropped. I bought the dip. It whips back up, take a little profit, dips down again, halts down, then into after hours, got back in and rode the momentum up to the high. The high a day was 106.83. My best exit on this was 105.04 with 300 shares. Not bad. Well, actually 105.04. So, I I got some money out of it. It wasn't the easiest to trade. And then guess what? I was still holding 600 shares right here in this candle. This candle dropped from 104. I was in at 100. So I was like, okay, I'll stop at break even. Boom, drops to $92 a share. I'm down like 8 points. So 8 times 6, all of a sudden I gave back, $4,000 off the top. And I was like, all right, well, I guess that's enough of that. I'm going to get out while the going's good. So overall, this is a stock that is certainly outside my price range, and for that reason is very much in the high risk territory. So this is going to be, do as I say, not as I do. I always encourage beginner traders to trade in a simulator before putting real money on the line. And I also encourage you to trade lower price stocks because they're usually easier to manage risk. But I'm not a beginner trader. So there are times where I will kind of go outside that set parameter that's great for beginners, take a little bit more risk, and sometimes it works, like it did today, and sometimes it doesn't. And all things considered, making, $6,000 on this, was it worth it? Well, I was here anyways, and so I guess the $6,000 feels like it was worth it. Sitting at 84,000 on the day, it's not significantly different from where I was at the end of the recap, which was at 79,000. But I would say that we're in a really good position going into tomorrow. This, no doubt, is just such incredible momentum. And so I'm going to be looking for the next one and seeing, what is the next stock that starts to pop up. And as I always say, let's keep a close eye on those private placement catalysts because those at this point have a history of being really impressive. So good job. Congratulations for those of you guys that locked up some profit on this. I saw a number of members at Warrior Trading who said they did quite well. So I'm looking forward to some of those guys applying for badges. We have, of course, a verified badge program at Warrior Trading. And it's great when I see someone, we had someone who just last week had a $300,000 winner on one trade. And boom, just like that, it's unbelievable. And he's got his badge and he verified it and everything. So, as always, my results aren't typical. And I want to reiterate that their results aren't either. But I'm always proud of those students who have done exceptionally well. It's really great to see. So that's it for me. Again, reminder, if you want to do a 2-week trial, there'll be a link pinned to the top of the comments and in the description. Even though it's going to be over the weekend, you can spend some of the weekend studying the classes. And the 2-week trial is 14 days. So it's going to give you 10 trading days no matter what. You'll either have a weekend at the beginning or a weekend at the end. So if you want to get in there, start studying, you might as well jump in. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the chat room. I'll be streaming bright and early tomorrow at 7 a.m. All right, reminder as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical. Take it slow. And if you want to check out some other episodes, I'll put links to them right here.